Meghan Markle just admitted the one thing she never wanted the public to know about her bizarre pregnancy video. And the truth? It's worse than people imagined. Behind the scenes, Netflix was already backing away, quietly killing off her contract, shelving her projects, and bracing for the backlash they saw coming, because what Meghan called a deeply emotional art piece. Insiders are calling one of the most embarrassing misfires in streaming history. This wasn't just a viral stunt gone wrong. It was a desperate attempt to stay relevant after Hollywood had already turned its back on her. And the more Meghan tries to explain it, the worse it all gets. It started with whispers. Test screenings for With Love began. Season 2 were bombing. Executives hoped it was just bad editing, maybe some weak pacing. But after the third failed screening, panic set in. Netflix insiders began leaking the truth. The show wasn't just underwhelming. It was a full-blown disaster. Viewers were confused, annoyed, and worst of all, bored. And that's when Meghan's name started getting tossed around the boardroom. Not as a creator, but as a liability. Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters, Netflix's top dogs, had enough. The decision was made. Meghan's multi-million-dollar deal would not be renewed. Quietly, behind the scenes, contracts were pulled, development halted, and Meghan Markle was officially done. At least, that's what they thought, because Meghan wasn't going to let go without a fight. And what she did next, even the executives didn't see it coming. And that's where the pregnancy video enters the picture, because what seemed like a random viral clip was actually part of something much bigger and much more calculated. But before we get there, you need to know just how far Meghan was willing to go to stay in the spotlight. With her Netflix deal circling the drain, Meghan Markle scrambled to find a lifeline. Talk shows, podcast teasers, exclusive interviews, anything that could spark a headline or trend on social media. But here's the thing, no one was biting. Producers quietly passed, streaming platforms weren't calling, and Hollywood? Completely silent. Behind the scenes, Meghan was pitching herself as the next great comeback story. Misunderstood, mistreated, and ready for redemption. But execs weren't buying it. They'd seen the numbers. They'd heard the crew complaints. And more importantly, they'd watched the audience turn. That's when Meghan changed tactics. Instead of waiting for Hollywood to come to her, she decided to make a moment. Something bold, something viral, something that would put her back in the center of the conversation, whether people liked it or not. And that's how we got the video. But this wasn't just any video. This was a bizarre, overly rehearsed, strangely edited performance meant to stir up sympathy and laughter all at once. She thought it would be her big comeback. But what she didn't expect was just how badly it would backfire. Because the internet doesn't forget, and what they uncovered next left everyone wondering, was any of this even real? When the pregnancy video dropped, no one knew what to make of it. Meghan, in soft lighting, dancing awkwardly in a dimly lit room, set to strange background music. It felt more like a parody than a tribute. She claimed it was a celebration of motherhood, a raw emotional expression of her final moments being pregnant. But people weren't buying it. Almost instantly, the video was mocked across social media. Late-night hosts cracked jokes. Clips circulated with sarcastic captions. And then came the theories. Was she actually pregnant during the shoot? Some viewers pointed out the timing didn't make sense. Others zoomed in and suggested the baby bump looked off, too stiff, too perfect, too much like a prop. And while the internet debated, Meghan doubled down, insisting this video was art. But the more she explained, the more suspicious it all seemed. Because it wasn't just a one-take moment of inspiration. It was something else entirely. Multiple versions, multiple angles, and, most shocking of all, multiple takes. She didn't just film it once. She rehearsed it. She choreographed it. She picked and repicked music over and over again to make it go viral. And the moment people heard that, the backlash hit even harder. But we're still just scratching the surface. Because what Meghan said next had people genuinely stunned and questioning her entire story. In her own words, Meghan admitted it wasn't just a spontaneous shoot. It was a fully planned production. We did different versions of that video with different music, she said. Some just didn't stick. She described the process like a director chasing perfection, tweaking soundtracks, scrapping full takes, trying to force emotion that just wouldn't land naturally. But here's where it gets strange. She claimed she cried between takes, said she felt overwhelmed with emotion, knowing it might be her last time on camera as a pregnant woman. And yet, she still stopped mid-tears, looked at the camera, and said, "No, scrap that, let's do it again." That doesn't sound like authenticity. That sounds like someone manufacturing a moment. And the goal? She finally admitted it. She wanted it to go viral. It wasn't about motherhood. It wasn't about art. It was about attention. But the real twist? She almost didn't believe it would catch on. She had little to no hope, she said, that people would care. And yet, when it did go viral, for all the wrong reasons. She lashed out hard. Critics didn't understand. Haters had no lives. Anyone who didn't praise the video was written off as contributing nothing to society. It wasn't just offensive, it was hostile. But that wasn't even the worst of it, because what she revealed next about how she sees the public and how she really views criticism sparked a whole new level of backlash. Instead of owning the backlash, Meghan exploded. She called critics disgruntled, pointless, and said they contribute nothing to society, all because people didn't praise a choreographed, overly edited video that looked more like a PR stunt than a personal moment. But it didn't stop there. She doubled down, claiming society just doesn't get humor anymore, and that anyone who didn't laugh at her skit was the problem. No self-reflection, no accountability, just blame. And the more she talked, the more people tuned out. But the biggest question was still hanging in the air. Was this video even real, or just another carefully staged performance to win sympathy while her career fell apart? The moment Meghan claimed the video was 100% authentic, the internet fired back. If it was so real, why did it need multiple takes, multiple songs, multiple emotional resets between dance moves? People started digging. Some claimed the footage wasn't even recent. The lighting looked dated, the set was suspiciously generic, and that baby bump, many believed it wasn't real at all. Rumors swirled that the clip was filmed years ago, possibly recycled now to stir up attention after the Netflix fallout. Others believed it was a last-minute Hail Mary, filmed just weeks ago with a pillow under her dress. Either way, it didn't feel honest. And that's what really hit people. Not just the video, but the sense that they were being played. Because if Meghan faked even a fraction of it, the message wasn't just lost, it was meaningless. But that didn't stop her from pushing forward. She still believed she could spin this into a comeback. What she didn't realize, Hollywood had already made up its mind. Behind closed doors, the verdict was already in. Meghan Markle was done. Studios didn't want the drama. Directors didn't want the headlines. Even small streaming platforms quietly backed away. One insider put it bluntly, "She's radioactive. No one wants to deal with the fallout." It wasn't just the video. It was the pattern, the over-explanations, the public meltdowns, the need to always control the narrative. She'd gone from Duchess to deal breaker in just a few years. Even cameo offers, bit parts, brief appearances were being pulled. And with Netflix gone, no major player was left to defend her. But what came next wasn't a redemption arc. It was something much harder to watch, because Meghan wasn't fading quietly. She was spiraling and taking her brand down with her. Meghan thought the video would bring her back. Instead, it exposed everything. The desperation, the overproduction, the disconnect between how she sees herself and how the world really sees her. What she called art, others saw as ego. What she claimed was authenticity, felt staged, and every attempt to defend it only pushed more people away. Now, with no deal, no momentum, and no support from the industry that once embraced her, Meghan Markle is facing something she's never had to before: silence. Not the kind that comes from privacy, but the kind that comes when no one's listening anymore. And in a world where attention is currency, that might be the harshest reality of all. Because going viral isn't the same as being respected. And sometimes, the more you try to stay in the spotlight, the faster it burns out.